figure on an Egyptian ceiling dating from about 1400 BC. Although the art of drawing is as old as the world itself, there is a charming Greek legend that says it was born of the most beautiful of human emotions, of love. 5 centuries before our era, Pliny narrates, a beautiful girl of Sicyon, Cora, while admiring her beloved as he slept, was struck with the idea of tracing his silhouette, shadowed on the wall by the torchlight. She snatched a piece of charcoal from the fireplace and carefully traced the outline. Her father, a potter, modeled the profile with clay and then baked it. Thus, plastic art and drawing were discovered simultaneously. Although this happened several centuries after the cavemen and the pharaoh's artists had done their work, the story is worth telling, for it was in fact in the land of the Grecian gods where precise draftsmanship and the magic of color gave birth to the real art of painting, of which these vases, made in the 3rd century BC, offer a striking example. Early painters used both brush and sponge. Until the advent of Raphael and Leonardo da Vinci, the art of painting consisted of hiding the brush strokes by glossing the picture and blending the colors. Albrecht Dürer, after the perfections introduced in oil painting by Van Eyck, founded the German school. Then came the Flemish school with its illustrious masters Rubens, Van Dyck, and the Dutch school, which Rembrandt, with his sublimity and genius, made famous. There was nothing left of the Mill of Leiden, which stood on the Pelican Rampart near the White Gate, except this commemorative tablet at number 3 Vedestein, recalling that here was born on July 15, 1606, Rembrandt van Rijn. On May 20th, 1620, the 14-year-old Rembrandt trudged along the embankment of Dolem of the Arquebushooters and the quays of Rappenberg to the University of Leiden, where he was matriculated for the course in letters. He left the university a year later. "I want to be a painter too," he said. Rembrandt was placed in apprenticeship with Jacob van Swanenburg, but his impetuous nature rebelled, and he journeyed on to Amsterdam to try his luck with Lasma. 6 months with Lasma convinced him there was nothing to learn with the masters, and at 18 he left Amsterdam. He returned to Leiden determined that henceforth he would recognize and obey only one master, nature. In 1627, we find him back in the paternal dwelling, with Lena Vens for companionship, working intensely in this studio which Gerard Dou had painted. Here is Rembrandt's first picture, The Money Changer, to which his father posed with that docility which enabled Rembrandt to put him in many guises, as, for example, the Turkish prince in this picture. But with that impressive simplicity, he painted the portrait of his mother, scorning all accessories except for an old book, the Bible. Rembrandt later found an even more willing model who fulfilled the most exacting requirements of his fecund artistic imagination. a model ever ready to obey him and one who never tired. For this model, viewed from many angles, was Rembrandt himself. And here is Saskia, who became his wife. These works were achieved between the ages of 22 and 29. In 1631, Rembrandt bid farewell to the old mill, in whose great veins had revolved the dreams of his youth. He crossed the Dutch countryside, bathed in the dazzling light that gives its skies a luminous transparency, and continued on to Amsterdam, where he was to live from then on. It was also in 1631 that he painted the Presentation in the Temple. 3 years later, he used the same setting for the woman taken in adultery. In 1632, after having excelled in portraiture, he started painting groups, his first subject being the Lesson in Anatomy of Professor Tope, ordered by the Surgeons' Guild. He put Professor Tope in the place of honor. All the portraits were amazingly lifelike. Success had come. Fame smiled on Rembrandt, and he was only 26 years old. In the following year, he executed 2 variations of a single subject, the philosopher with the open book and the philosopher in meditation. It was while standing before these 2 panels, acquired by Louis XVI, that Delacroix, above all an admirer of Italy, said, "Italian painting is color, Rembrandt is philosophy." In contemplating his St. Paul the Apostle, one recognizes that Rembrandt, better than all others, expressed most highly the abstract theme of meditation. Rembrandt now is happy, for Pastor Louise of St. Anne's Parish has just inscribed in his register, "Today, June 22nd, 1634, are united in wedlock the painter Rembrandt van Rijn of Amsterdam and Saskia van Oudenborg, daughter of the late burgomaster of Leeuwarden." Rembrandt's home became too small to hold all the furniture and art objects his fancy had envisaged. So on January 5th, 1639, he acquired a house in the Street of the Jews for a price of 13,000 guilders. The front door opens on a hallway. At the end of this hall are 2 doors. The door on the left leads to the printing room. Rembrandt himself pulled the prints of his etchings on this press. One can imagine him leaning over the copper plate, scrutinizing this proof of Dr. Faustus, or touching up the 3 trees, a picture evoking the serenity of a beautiful Dutch Sunday in summer beneath billowing clouds. Here is the reception hall. The studio with 4 windows letting in the north light is 1 flight up. This drawing of the master shows how he isolated his students with partitions, thus obliging them to seek aid from no one but the model. This floor today is an exposition room, which displays, among other things, the famous 100 guilder print, Jesus healing the sick. Rembrandt was almost snowed under by the orders of art lovers. He informed Constantine Higgins, Secretary of the Prince of Orange, by letter, that the pictures of the Passion had been forwarded and that the charge for them would be 1,000 guilders each. One depicts the descent from the cross, and the other the transfer to the tomb. In June 1642, he delivered to Captain Franz Banning-Cock, Lord of Permaland, the Night Watch, really the sortie of the Banning-Cock Company. This famous painting owes its nocturnal aspect to peat smoke in the guardroom where it remains in 1785. The Pilgrims at Amos, to which Rembrandt shows such an understanding of humanity and divinity that he might have lived in biblical times. The Good Samaritan. Rembrandt no longer moved about. In the solitude of this soothing atmosphere, he meditated and dreamed. Saskia is dead. The timid sweetness of Henrik Christoffels now calms the restless spirit of the master. She is modeled, posed in this picture as Bathsheba. Misfortune comes down on the painter. In 1656, a bill of sale is posted in his house in the Street of the Jews. His ardor in work, however, is only intensified. From a swiftly drawn sketch, he achieved the lesson in anatomy of Professor Damon, of which there remains only this fragment, saved from a fire in 1723. In 1661, he finished the Draper's Guild. Though motionless, they seem preoccupied, speaking without moving the lips. There is nothing strained about them. They are alive. Such was Fromentin's view of this work, which he said revealed the complete Rembrandt. The painter and the engraver were one. Rembrandt handled copper, needle, and press in a manner that remains forever inimitable. True to his method, he took himself as model. Here he is drawing. Rembrandt resting. Returning from a stroll, he engraved the hayloft. The weigher of gold. Here is John VI. Jesus preaching. Ecce Homo. And his most impressive work, which attains the sublime, the Three Crosses. Work sole haven in which he could find tranquility. In one day he etched this phoenix, in which a bird usurps the place of genius. It was the reply of his fierce independence to those who criticized his disdain for finish, and to whom he replied, "I am a painter, not a dyer." But destiny is relentless. On November 7, 1668, he lost his son Titus. Tireless, he again took up his brushes. 2,000 drawings, 300 engravings, and 700 paintings would have been enough for his fame, yet he continued to paint. But on Tuesday, October 8, 1669, except for his clothes, a Bible, and the tools of his craft, the inventory states, death left nothing. Nothing but the great light of his genius, which henceforth became the common property of humanity.